What's up, heroes? I'm the House Ninja, superhero DJ, music producer, and the host of the Producer Life podcast. In this special series that runs through December, I'm interviewing the contestants for Emerald Summers Presents Bass Battleground, an epic online DJ competition involving 16 different DJs in a fight to the finish. And this Sunday, July 24th at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Emerald Summers Presents Twitch channel is the next round. And I'm very proud to announce that I'm going to be one of the contestants. I will be competing against DJ Troglodyte. And today, since it doesn't make much sense for me to interview myself, Emerald Summers Presents has agreed to interview me. So the tables are turned. And Rose, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing all of this that you're doing, acknowledging the local artists and participating. We greatly appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun getting to know the locals here. I moved back from Orlando about 18 months ago. And so one of my big goals was to really get to know the local art and talent. And this has been a great opportunity to do it.
What has been some of your biggest encouragement to move to Atlanta to make it happen here?
Well, for Atlanta, it was more a question of coming back to family. So I wanted to move back home with family. And so it was really a personal decision as opposed to a professional decision from a DJing perspective. But I do love the Atlanta scene. I love a lot of the clubs here. I love the vibe. I know there's a lot of opportunity. So I'm excited to be back here. At the same time, Orlando is awesome. And I certainly hope to, over the next couple of years, be touring regionally and be able to go between the two cities. I know you and I took a trip down to see Lauren Hardy's Bass Night Orlando a couple of months ago. And, there's a huge EDM scene down there as well.
They absolutely are the epitome of what Plur is supposed to be like. You walk into Bass Night Orlando and you just immediately felt the love. And for everyone watching, you need to party with House Ninja. This is a must. I can tell people, I was like, there's no way I would have had that much fun had you not been there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I wouldn't have made the trip back down there if you hadn't invited me. So I'm glad it all worked out and glad I could make that introduction, and we'll have to do it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tell me, what are some of the groups that you've involved yourself with here in Atlanta?
So one of the groups that I'm really excited about that I've been interacting a lot with is Beltline Cosplay, which is this awesome cosplaying group started by Laurie Stark. And she is this really cool e-skating, cosplaying person, just ball of energy. And I've been out to a photo shoot with them. We're going to be doing a cosplay gala in September, which is a really cool idea.
Oh my gosh.
She's I don't know how much I can talk about that yet, but it's coming. But it's a really cool. Yeah, it's a really cool concept. So stay tuned if you're in the Atlanta area. They regularly do photo shoots. They do charity events. They show up at the big gaming conventions. And they really take cosplaying to the next level. They've got some amazing cosplayers. And, I feel slightly out of place because I'm not playing like a Marvel character. It's the original character. But at the same time, they kind of accept me because I'm clearly dressed up, so always out there in my ninja jammies.
Yeah, I love how you can just do any variation of how you perceive that character. I have a history of, cosplaying and stuff. I have a great passion for, just being dressed up and being with your friends. And one of my favorite things was, going to San Diego Comic-Con and watching a photo shoot of over 500 different kind of Deadpools.
Yeah.
It was insane, having a Doctor Who rave, it was like, this is goals, this is what, we want, as adults, we want to keep that ourselves youthful. So I definitely want to check out more Beltline Atlanta cosplay. I've actually discovered them through you, and so I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot with the music community too. They've been crossing over. They've been working with, and there was actually a big article in one of the Atlanta eating magazines recently about Beltline cosplay and Trap Sushi, which is this cool Japanese sushi anime
Oh my
trap
god,
event that happens every couple of months. And they've been
that's
participating. So they have a
phenomenal.
cosplay competition. They bring in a sushi chef. They've got all sorts of anime stuff going on. They've got trap DJs. It's a really cool event. But I think what a lot of people are looking for in the EDM scene is more than just a DJ and lights. They want kind of a comprehensive experience. And I know you're really trying to do that with the Rogue Woods event, for example, where you're bringing in artists and it's going to be more than just music and lights. It's kind of that enchanted forest experience.
Yeah,
And
I feel like just like festivals, you have to immerse yourself. You got to get all the senses going for you to kind of like really feel the music. Um, and when you set the mood, set the vibe, you're open to receive it better. So, that's why I like a good showmanship. You can tell when an artist has a passion for the music. Some people do it for because it's cool, but some people they have to put it on paper. They can't do anything else. And that's what we do. We look for those people, the people who represent the soundless voice. You know, to others, when we say cosplay is not so, it's not so welcomed. I was in one of my chat groups, and how many people in your at your job know that you like EDM? Some people have this shame about it. So we're trying to just change the narrative, and that's why we have a community experience like Roguewood. But I can't wait to see you flipping your nunchucks in the woods. That's going to be great.
they will. I will definitely have them out there. One of the things you said a minute ago about the costuming that I do struck me because I've wrestled with it over the years, and I think I came to a revelation this summer when I was doing the Stillfire Brewery summer sets
Hmm.
because for a long time I thought I needed like one costume, just one way that I look so it's consistent. And it started off my original outfit. I don't know if you've ever seen some of my old Instagram posts, but it was all white. And my thought
Hmm.
process was that's going to stand out in stage because if I dress in all black like a traditional ninja, then it's not going to show up on stage. It's going to be hard for people to see. So I'm going to go all white. Well, I had a very nearly traumatic experience uh, before I really even got started. With my first gig ever, it was in Newnan, Georgia, and this was there was a Newnan Strong event. I don't know if you
Hmm.
remember this about 4 or 5 years ago, but there was a white supremacist group that was going to roll through this small little southern town.
Oh.
And so the town made this awesome decision. Okay, we know they're coming. We're going to shut everything down. Every restaurant, every bar, everything's going to be closed on Saturday. And instead, we're going to throw a festival the night before to let all the local shops make their money before the white supremacists come through. And I thought, this is awesome. I want to be part of this. This is good. There's kids out there drawing on the sidewalks. They had rainbows, and it was awesome. So I'm like, I want to be part of that. So I talked to one of the organizers. I was like, hey, I'm a costume DJ. I would love to come out here and be part of this, no charge. I like what you guys are doing with the anti-racism. And he said, sure, bring your stuff. So I rushed home, threw everything in the car, rushed back, started unpacking. And of course, I'm in costume and I get mostly set up. And I have three police officers come over with submachine guns.
Oh my god.
And they're like, we think you need to leave now. And I start thinking about it, and I'm in all white with a hood at an anti white supremacist meeting.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
so I was like, oh shit. So I quickly packed up and left and never even played. And so ever since then, my costume has evolved. It was gray and white for a while because I wanted to distinguish it. More recently, it's taken on kind of a uh, sort of a dark Batman-y look. But then when Stillfire asked me to perform, it was Stillfire Somersets, and they wanted something light and summery and that sort of thing. And I was like, all right, well, that armored look, that armored Batman look doesn't work. So what am I going to do? And I
Mm.
was like, all right, what would that look like if I were on vacation in the Bahamas? And so the whole costume changed. I wore, like gray shorts, sort of a matching gray Hawaiian shirt. I still wore the ninja tabbies, and I
Hmm.
wore sort of a blue hood, but I changed the costume for the event. And I guess the revelation I've come to is my costume's going to change like that. You look at Tony Stark, the Iron Man costume changes, the armor changes for the situation, and so I think
Hmm.
what you'll see from me costume wise is going to change and evolve and differ depending on the event that I'm going to and what's appropriate.
I see. You're getting challenged with. You think when you're getting a gig, you're the challenge is what am I going to play? Am I? Is the crowd going to be happy? Are you really thinking about? Are they going to like my clothes? This is why being on brand,
Yeah,
thinking about. This is why we teach. Like you have to account for these things. But have you not been put in that situation, you'd probably still be wearing a white ninja costume
yeah, and
and
I didn't even
probably losing
think about it.
opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, didn't even think about it at the time, and so I'm glad I didn't wind up in jail. And it was, they had cool heads about it and just firmly asked me to leave, and so anyway, it
Well,
worked
at
out.
least you can put two and two together. You probably like, what are you talking? I'm here for the kids.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, but I was kind of left. I probably did have the option of taking the costume off and playing anyway, but I decided I didn't want to kill my brand before it even started, and I've tried
Hmm.
very hard over the years to stay on brand. I kind of want to be the DJ where if Marvel superheroes meets Marshmallow, that's kind of where I am
Yeah.
as a DJ and producer. So heroically themed, and I want to use my brand and my music to raise awareness for social causes, and that's sort of the hero part of it.
I think, I really commend you, knowing your brand and knowing at what point you want to flex. And, I'm pretty sure it was really difficult of not playing because you weren't on brand. And a lot of artists would just be like, oh, it doesn't matter, but it does. And that is the most important thing, that you have to stand for something. And if you're flexible there, then how is your audience supposed to trust you? You have to, they have to have confidence in you. They have to know who you are. And there's always change, there's evolution. I mean, my favorite thing is seeing Deadpool in a Hawaiian shirt. See what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah,
when I saw you Still Fire Brewery, I laughed. I was like, I love the outfit. But I knew then, I was like, I bet someone challenged him to put this together.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
They were great. Shout out to Adam up there. They were great to work with. Had a terrific time, and hopefully we'll be back for some of their special events in the fall. So it was a cool
it's
place.
so cool.
Yeah,
So
if you guys
cool.
if you guys never been to Stillfire Brewing in Swanee, Georgia, it's right there off the town square. Very chill vibe, great beers, very family friendly. Bring your dog. Strangest thing I saw while I was there, somebody brought a pet iguana. It is pet friendly because they bring
Ah!
in food trucks, so
Mhm.
people just hang out and drink beer and pet their animals, and kids play on the playground. It's a cool environment. So
I like that. You had me at pet friendly.
yeah.
So tell me, what inspired you to create music and then, settle for the name House Ninja? How did you know? What led to making sure you committed to that brand?
Yeah, so a bunch of different things. Ever since high school, I have loved dance music and sort of that club feel. I was the guy that went to every single high school dance. I remember I love to dance. Didn't necessarily do it well, but I love to dance. And so in the high school gymnasium, I used to cut off a pair of old socks and put my shoe in the sock so I could spin better on the floor. Because like
Ah,
athletic shoes get sticky on the floor. So that
yeah.
was me. I wanted to show off and dance. And so but I love the music, and as I've grown up, I have continued to go to clubs and music festivals, and I love the genre, the scene, the lights, I just love everything about it. um, I also have a very technical background, and so when I discovered digital audio workstations like Ableton, I just took to it. I love sitting there at a computer and making music. Those two fit very well. I also like performing. I've been in improv comedy groups before. So I'm comfortable on stage. I like being in front of people. And so all of these things, just everything about being a DJ producer appeals to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also have always loved dressing up. As a child, I used to go everywhere in a costume. In fact, my mom tells a story about when I went to the doctor's office one time and I wasn't in a costume, and the doctor asked me what's wrong with him. I've never grown out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I love Japanese culture. I had the opportunity to spend 3 weeks in Japan several years back, and so kind of fell in love with that. And I've also always been involved with martial arts, so the whole ninja persona made sense. House Ninja was just sort of my way of capturing the very broad genre of music that I love because house encompasses so much. I felt like it was broad enough; it wasn't going to pigeonhole me into, the French house
Mm-hmm.
ninja
Mm-hmm.
or uh,
Mm-hmm.
whatever sub genre you might want to talk about.
The Witch House
Um,
Ninja.
yeah, and it was also very SEO friendly. So I put together a whole spreadsheet, probably with 20 or 30 different combinations of names of things I thought I was interested in. And this is kind of the business side of being a musician. And House Ninja Music, those three words, was available on every social media handle, and was easy to find. The only other house ninja out there is still, I think, a real estate agent in Colorado, and I'm not too worried about getting confused with them.
Oh, I say we do a collab.
I should come play at a home
Nunchuck in
opening.
front of the properties. We'll do all the house openings.
Yeah.
See, I want to talk more a little bit about how you mentioned like SEO and coming up with names and doing your research. You know, how much time did it take for you to kind of shift from the music brain to now I have to take this seriously. I have to learn. I have to, learn the business parts. I have to learn the marketing part. I have to learn about SEO.
So I kind of started that from day one. I knew that I wanted to make this a career one day, and
Mhm.
so almost from day one, I was starting an email list, having a website. Um, I was listening to podcasts about the music business. Things like CD Baby's DIY Music Podcast is a great one. I used to love the 6 Minute Music Business Podcast, which was awesome with Wade Sutton. Unfortunately, he doesn't do it anymore. So I was trying to do all of those things right. I almost feel like I was doing it too soon because I didn't have the social media traction yet. And I don't know that my music early on is where it should have been as I was trying to do those things. But at the same time, it kind of built the habit and I learned about how to handle email marketing, how to, manage a WordPress site. I kind of learned all of that right alongside learning how to produce music. So I've been doing a lot of that since the beginning, and I kind of geek out on that as much as I geek out on the music.
Yeah, I think it's actually very important to do it before you even like your own music. Because by time you get into the music part and the social media part, that's going to consume so much of your time that you're going to just spend catch up. That and you want longevity. Start from here. You want there to be where you had an account from 2018, you know, and you've been putting in those paces. You're already in the system, and it's just like a bank account. You'll just start feeding into that and how you want to the traffic to be controlled, where you want your audience to go, because you built the foundation from the beginning. And then you can just add all the extra social features. You can increase that as you get more fans, but definitely starting with the business mindset first and getting that solidified gives you more room as an artist to be creative, because then you don't have to stop this to do that.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things as artists are getting started is trying to find a consistent social media handle. because I find myself getting frustrated as I try to, for example, tag other DJs in platforms, and I'll post to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and some of them, their handles are different on every one of them. And
Hmm.
at some point, I just get frustrated. I'm like, all right, fine, I'm not tagging him. But I think it is really helpful from a marketing perspective and from an ease of your followers finding you if you can get a handle and, um, find one that's consistent. So every social media site, I'm House Ninja Music, 3 words. That's it.
Hmm.
Um, so it's very
And just
easy.
so people know, if you type in House Ninja Music in YouTube, it's just filled immediately, right? Everything relates to you. And our Bass Battlegrounds, all of our podcasts are right there in the front. See? And so, yeah, getting that process started early, I think is very important. I do not like when, let's say I have an artist, and this is the important thing about branding. You're a great artist, you can great showmanship. I can't find you. uh, your
Yeah.
name is one thing here, your name is one thing there. There's no link in your bio. It goes to your SoundCloud with no contact info. I don't know what state you're in. You don't even tag the locations. And it's just kind of like you cheat yourself out of opportunity. And they're just like, why don't they think I'm great? They can't find you.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the challenges also is, if you've got a name that is close to somebody else's famous name. I've told this story before, but I've collaborated with an artist named Sandra Bullet, Bullet.
Ah, ha, ha,
Um,
yes.
and every time I Google her, it turns up Sandra Bullock, the actress. And I have to go back and try to find her socials. And she's terrific. She's a great vocalist. She was on the podcast. She was on she sung on a couple of my different tracks. But she's a Portuguese rocker, so she has a pretty cool story. But she's hard to find on social media if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. I did want to toss out a tool for people that are trying to come up with a handle on social media. There's a website called Knowem. That's KNOWEM.com. And it's really designed for social media marketers. You can plug in a handle and it'll search 500 different popular social media sites and it'll tell you if that name is available. So it saves you time as you're doing that initial screening for your DJ name. Instead of having to go to each site and seeing if it's available, you can just do a quick screening there and go, nope, not available on Twitter. Move on to the next one.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's
And
it,
also, I think when you look at these names and you see where it's available, I just want to add that you just may be on Facebook and Instagram for now. Be like, oh, well, it's available here. But in order for you to reach the most amount of people, you have to be on all the important platforms that they're going to be looking for you. You have to be on Twitter. I am not I'm not best on socials. Um, but I learned it, and I have to make it into a game and making sure I connect. That's where my audience is, you know. Same thing for TikTok. Some people receive information differently. They want the visual. They need the funny. They want to know who you are outside of music. Do you have a pet? Do you drink coffee? That's where they're going to get to be loyal to you. So I understand that people are like, oh, I don't do that. I'm like, but that's where your fans are. If you want to connect with them and you want to grow, you have to be on those platforms. If music is played on there, you should be on those platforms. And then also making sure that on all your platforms, all your information is consistent.
yep. Amen.
It's just like there's always I know there's so many like genius people, and it's impossible. Like I was blessed with connecting with you. Like sometimes it happens, you just you showed up to Bliss and it was just like absolutely. you
Well, that was
know
yeah. I appreciated. Um, I just
Outer
lost his
Limit.
name. Outer Limits for
Outer Limit.
introducing me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Would not have made
And
that connection without him and without actually showing up to the venue. And I think I was out there celebrating his birthday. And
hmm
yeah.
over at Twisted Lines event,
Oh
for the
yeah. And
love
met
of
him.
house music. for the love of house music, for the love of techno. Like it happens. I feel like Emerald Summers is what we want to do. We want to unify through, sound, music. We don't care. We accept each other all as is when you're in music. We kind of leave those stereotypes behind, which is why, with the cosplay, everyone here is the same, and we kind of just accept those differences. And this just, allows people to just, partner up and keep producing that, that harmony that they love. I love that we're changing up the flavor here. It's a little push towards dubstep lately. I love dubstep. I can't lie. I can't take 6 hours of it. But the only
My
thing
neck
that's going to
starts
get
going.
me off my feet is like house music. My body has to shuffle. I don't know. I'm not even a dancer. I've seen you, and it's just like you let the music take you over. It's powerful.
It is.
I guess what we call it is static dancing. I'm not coordinated at all. It's a static dancing.
When everybody's out there and the lights are dim, nobody cares. Get up there and move, and everybody's just happy. So
And then also, I'd like to talk about you give classes.
I
You have
have.
students.
Well, I don't give regular classes. I have a workshop that I've given at a couple of different, given twice at MomoCon and once at Mid South Con in Memphis. It's
Hmm.
the music hacking workshop, and it's a 1 hour workshop that I give that basically walks people through the essentials of using Ableton and shows them how you could make the basics of a song without any music experience in 59 minutes or less. And it's gone really well. Everybody's really loved it. I always ask for feedback afterwards. I think I had 30 or 40 people at MomoCon, which is a pretty good sized panel this last year, earlier this summer. And it just goes well. I try to involve the audience a lot. I'll have them come up, and the gist of the workshop is I give them a series of chords. I explain what chord progressions are, and then I show them how you can just use the root note from the chord for a bass line. You can use different, you can build a different percussion rhythm using MIDI clips, and then you build out your song using basically a more in-depth chorus and spreading out the elements across the mix. And I talk a little bit about mixing, and that's about all you can cover in an hour. But it gives people a sense of, hey, I think I could do that. And I've had several people keep up with me on Facebook and ask questions. And yeah, it's been fun. I like teaching. I like sharing my love of music. I had a gentleman ask me if I did private tutoring lessons last time, and I thought about it, but my at this stage of my life, my most precious resource is my time. And so, what limited extra time I've got, I'm trying to focus that on the performing and the producing,
Hmm.
and the podcasting. Those are kind of my three P's.
Would you be open to maybe we can schedule a workshop in the future?
I would absolutely be happy to do standalone workshops. I'm just hesitant to take on a long term commitment for like students.
Oh no.
But
I mean,
but
like just to kind of get me personally, I would love to entertain it because even though I work with a lot of artists, because I see your mixing styles and I'm always recording where your fingers are. A lot of it's very intimidating, and I'm just like I think I psyched myself out for always being this up close, and I'm just like there's no way I can do it. So I feel like it kind of it would help introduce me to be familiar so it's not so scary because from the fan perspective I'm not that's like playing, to me it looks like Beethoven playing music. I'm not doing that. There's no way I'm capable.
now you're talking about the DJing side, or are you talking about the producing music side?
The producing music side.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I work with a lot of artists and they're mixing music here and they're just like, yeah, this button, this many, this box, and I'm just like, no, what is
Yeah.
going on? To move to tweak this one thing, I'm just there's a lot of intimidation there, and I realize it's because I don't know the vocabulary. I'm not familiar with it,
Yeah.
and that introductory class can really help someone kind of push through that fear. So I'm always open to a panel. We're kind of like just get people's feet wet. We've had a lot of artists that just started DJing like at the end of last year, just by someone else's influence. So if we can pass that forward, that'd be great.
Sure. Let's
And it
do it, and maybe we
and
can
it'd
get a
be
bunch
really
of.
great if I knew what they were talking about.
Yeah, if you want to get, we can get some of the local DJs together. I can give an introductory class, and maybe we'll stream it on the Emerald Summers Presents Twitch channel too.
That sounds awesome, and definitely on the getting us a same cohesive understanding of where things are. Because a lot of DJs, even though they're good, they still don't understand it.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of requests specifically for you. So this is why I also am like, I need a panel.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So I see a piano back there. Do you play?
A little bit. I used to. My mom was giving me classes over Skype, which was awesome, and it just wound up. I just didn't have time. My mom's been
Mm-hmm.
a musician her whole life. She was a pianist, and she was a harpist as well. So
Mm-hmm.
she's sort of multi instrumentalist. And so I enjoyed taking the piano lessons with her, but I found myself every week apologizing for not practicing more. I still use a
Mm.
MIDI keyboard to pick out melodies, and I understand enough about basic music theory to get around in my DAW and understand scales and whatnot. But um, I would love to play better. I just don't have the time right now to practice like I should.
What is your current setup as far as your
For
equipment?
so sort of the heart of my equipment, I use a Alienware 17R4 gaming laptop. And I did that because I know a lot of DJs prefer Macs for the stability, but I also like playing video games, and I couldn't afford two separate systems. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go PC. But the other reason I wanted a gaming PC is that I wanted something that could run visuals in addition to running the audio. And so
Mm-hmm.
this computer is beefy enough that, like during the pandemic, I was able to live stream, run Resolume in the background, run Ableton for the music, and record everything simultaneously without a hiccup. Um,
Oh my gosh, don't convert me. I'm really loyal to Apple, but that sounds great. I have those issues.
yeah, well, I'm sure a modern Mac would do the same, but yeah, so I'm a PC person. I've never used a Mac, but I love my Alienware laptop because I can do everything creative that I want to do, from editing videos to editing music to just about everything. And then of course I also use it for gaming. Um, I started off DJing as an Ableton DJ because my thought was I'm already learning it for producing. It would be easy for me to create unique sets and effects using Ableton, so I'm not like everybody else using CDJs or something like that. What I discovered is, while that's true for performing, um, the music management in Ableton is just terrible. The only way that I could organize my music was with folders and ridiculously long file names with keywords in it. And then when I first tried Rekordbox earlier this year, I was like, oh my gosh, the tagging, the smart playlists, it is just so much easier. And I'm spending much less time preparing my sets. I can bring in new music much faster. And so I've almost entirely converted over to Rekordbox, and I've been learning on CDJ 400s, which are, from what I'm told, very similar in layout to club mixers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what I've been practicing on from that perspective. I've got a Focusrite 2i2 sound card. And then some Yamaha, I believe Y7 speakers. I've also got a sub pack back here, which I'm not using right now, but it vibrates with bass frequencies. That was really nice when I was in Orlando and I was in an apartment,
Oh.
because it helps you to mix the sub frequencies better without having to crank the volume way up, which your neighbors tend not to like.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of my producer studio here. Oh, and then let's see, what are these? Sony headphones. So
Mm-hmm.
I find myself regularly alternating between the monitors, the headphones, and then I always wind up bouncing my mixes to something like Google Drive, and then I'll listen to them in the car ride, see what a mix sounds like on a car speaker. I'll play them on headphones. I always try to hear stuff on three or four or five different sets of speakers to make sure it translates well across speakers.
Yeah, that's crucial. Some people, you can tell sometimes I'm like, oh, I think when they recorded it, they only did it for like a cell phone speaker, or they only did it for like a computer speaker, or you can tell when they only designed it to play really good in a car. you know.
Yeah.
That's that
Although
that and it's all of it has to get reviewed.
although then I've heard some of the biggest DJs out there like, yeah, I mixed this on headphones. And I'm like, how did you mix that on headphones?
Oh,
You know.
that's a battle I cannot wait for us to put together. I'm just going to have a group. It's an entertaining conversation, the headphone. But I really do appreciate you spending some time with us today and getting this interview, being put in a hot seat. But tell us where we can find you.
So everywhere online, I'm House Ninja Music, 3 words. Best place to find me, I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I'm growing my audience on TikTok, so come follow me there. Spotify is just House Ninja. Unfortunately, House Ninja Music is my personal profile, but my artist
Mm.
profile on Spotify is House Ninja. I goofed that one up and haven't figured out how to fix it yet. And my homepage is houseninjamusic.com. You can also find the Producer Life podcast there, which you may be listening there right now. And then this this Sunday, you'll be able to find me on the Emerald Summers Presents Twitch channel, starting at 4 p.m. for the Bass Battleground.
No, thank you so much, House Ninja, and everyone. I please check out all the other interviews. He has interviewed some amazing guests. I've learned so much, and I greatly appreciate you being here with Emerald Summers and being part of the team.
Thank you so much, Rose. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
What's up, heroes? I'm the House Ninja, and I am pleased to welcome DJ Troglodyte, a multi-format DJ from Virginia and currently based out of Columbus, Georgia, who's going to be competing with me this Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Emerald Summers Twitch Present channel. So welcome, DJ Troglodyte.
Hey, what's going on, Ninja? Happy to be here, brother.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So I got to say, I think I know what a troglodyte is, but tell me a little bit about your name and how that came about.
Yeah, so a troglodyte is it basically like by dictionary term, it's an underground cave dweller. It's a caveman. It's a old school underground sort of brute, if you will. And it sort of defines me in many ways. One, I'm very like I'm sort of a caveman myself. I'm just kind of like very quasi aggressive and just sort of like brutish in my nature as a person, but also in my style of music. I'm a little older now, so I'm like really into the old school stuff, like the 80s and 90s, the 2000s, the hip hop, the house, variants of that. So that's kind of like my name is sort of like a multi, functional thing, if you will.
Okay, that's awesome. So are a lot of your sets centered around old school and throwback stuff?
So I would say yes and no. It depends on my audience, like a good DJ, right? A good DJ plays off the vibe, right? I can't just play what I want. I can't play 80s music to a room full of like early 20-year-olds, like I have to like, that's what makes a good DJ. But, a lot of gigs that I market myself as is sort of like, I guess what one might now call like an older crowd. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the stuff that I like, but I try to like diversify it.
Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite genre from there? Favorite era, maybe?
I would say that I love house music probably the most. I mean, nothing like a steady 124 BPM with a funky bass line, some melodies, and really great vocals, like a lot of soul, a lot of funk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a vibe. It's almost kind of like from I know you mentioned like I was raised in Northern Virginia, but I went to DC a lot, and DC had a fantastic house scene. And there was this place called 18th Street Lounge that used to be run by the guys from Theory Corporation. I don't know if you know who they are, but
Yeah.
every Sunday was like it was like a church, if you will. Everybody went there and just danced the whole week away on that dance floor, and it was a vibe. And I love that. So I'm really about like funky, deep house music.
Is that kind of where you got your first love of music and interest in being a DJ?
No, actually. So I would say what my love of music probably all right. So I'm 35, right? Back when I was 16 years old is when I first started getting really into like rock music and bands, like Kiss, AC/DC, the Guns N' Roses, that stuff. And then I got into like punk and like hardcore punk, like Black Flag. Actually, like first tattoo I ever got.
Oh yeah.
And you know, what do you call it? Over time, and then I started getting into like electronic music with because I had a roommate, and I started really getting, and my family they moved to Europe, and I started really getting, and I started dating like a Finnish woman, so I started really getting into like house. But it wasn't until about 6 years ago that I finally just bought my first decks. It was like a DDJ's like SP2 or whatever. But you know what I was doing at first? Because like I didn't think I could do it. And I'm not very technically savvy. So I had this PA system, and I took an iPod and a laptop, and I would just like listen to one, and I'd play it, and then I'd have to like guess and count, and then like just like there's no, the mixing was just me guessing. And then finally when I got the decks, I was able to start flowing and match BPMs and stuff like that. So it was like a flow, if you will.
Nice. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of laughed. I saw your post on Instagram about 2 iPods and a PA system, starting off. So,
Yeah.
um, once you got your first set of decks, did you have somebody show you how to use them, or did you just kind of figure it out on your own?
So I definitely had some guys that I had to like hit up who knew way more than I did, and sort of like give me just like a little crash course. And then once they sort of like I started the ball rolling, I started just kind of practicing. Actually, some of the best advice that I ever got, honestly, when I first started, was put the same song on both sides and match the song, right? And that was like in my opinion one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got. And then I would say another really great piece of advice that I got that I'm willing, like I don't mind talking about, was like, for example, how you mix like house music, electronic music would be different than like for example, hip hop. Hip hop, you gotta be abrupt, right? Like the song be going to bam, House music, electronic music, you gotta match. There's a flow, there's an overlapping, and then there's a fade in and out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Although I think that also depends on the genre of electronic music. Like house music, you have gradual bass swaps over 8 or 16 bars, but then you also hear with like big room stuff, you'll hear people all the time doing drop swaps where you're expecting one drop and then they abruptly cut to some other drop. So that abrupt mixing does happen too or certainly on drum and bass. You have a lot of abrupt cuts back and forth.
You know what? You're right. Actually, you're absolutely correct on that. I guess you could say that I'm still getting to the level where I could do that with electronic music.
Yeah. But I think that's the challenge is when you say electronic music or EDM. I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a broad category, But you're spot on that. How you might mix dubstep and how you might mix techno certainly is probably very different.
Yes.
So. Yeah, good point. Now you're also a musician, right? You are part of a band. I can only see the top of your T-shirt, so all I see is pussy right now.
It's Pussy Talk. Yep. Yeah, I've been
So,
playing music 18 years. It's mostly self-taught, drums, bass, guitar. I sing.
wow.
And so like I could do all the band stuff on my own. That's where like really like I'm best at. But so I created Pussy Talk in 2009, and then it fell out in 2011 for like 6 years. Then I started back up like around 2016, 2017, and then I made it into like a full-fledged business.
Okay. And do you still have a lot of the original band members there? I think I saw that you guys do get together periodically to perform.
So yes and no. All right. So here's the thing, right? I've been playing in bands for, like I said, 18 years. And when you're playing in a band, it's a democracy, right? You're one of four, you're one of five votes. You are only like 1/4 or 1/5 of a vote. You know what I'm saying? And there's compromise, and there is various forms of just like, you got to worry about this guy's ego, and then and I just didn't like. I wanted something that I could like create and call my own, and where I'm like the shot caller, if you will. I'm the one that's making like, listen, it's my way or the highway, period. And not only that, I wanted something that was pure me, right? So what I did was like, so in the studio, right, I play all the parts. I have like a whole album, by the way, on Spotify and iMusic, So the entire album is like me, and all the instruments is me, but live I have guys playing it. And as of right now, I had my bassist. we had an amicable split. You know, he's still my boy. It was just like he was ready to move on. And then the guy that I had playing drums, Leo, we've still been talking. So I have those guys live, but in the studio, like, and that was the point, right? Like, I want to be able to say, yo, this is all me. This is like my heart and soul here, you know? And that's how it started. And then it has flowed into something else that I would have never anticipated years ago. But now it's something completely, like, it's more than just a band. It's a brand. It's an idea. It's a form of expression. And I one day plan on making this a worldwide recognizable conglomerate level brand. This cat is going to be everywhere the same way that Hello Kitty is everywhere.
Okay. What do you want to talk about, or have you had some thoughts about what that brand will encompass? Or are you doing clothing line, or what are you thinking?
Yes, I will give you just enough details, right? So I'm creating a cartoon animated TV series about my band right now. That is the, like, 50-meter target, if you will. Okay. And this cartoon show is about me and my life and my band, but it's going to have sort of like a similar kind of, there's going to be very sort of raunchy, like South Park style, like, twist to it, if you will. And now, as you can imagine, animation is very expensive. So I'm going to use the VA business loan when I get out to secure money so I could fund, like, the pilot. Once I get the pilot, I'm going to put on YouTube, and then I'm going to it's going to get the views, and I'm going to shop it around, and then I'm going to try to get it on the streaming services. And then once that blows up, I'm going to then get into movies. And then I want to open up my own liquor brand, Pussy Talk Distillery. I want to have Pussy Talk Buds. I want to have Pussy Talk Coffee and Chocolate, all stuff from Peru. I'm half Peruvian, half Cuban. So I have liquor that I want to ferment and export from Peru, coffee and chocolate. Like, it's going to be a whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, show, movies, coffee, liquor, weed, chocolate, and then there's to the ultimate thing that I'll get into that down the line. But that's kind of like, the plan right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of. I assume you're familiar with the chive.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who the chive is.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so they've got this whole brand that's everything from the website and the app, but they've also got events, and they've got fundraisers, and they've got but they've got this very cohesive brand with a lot of different aspects to it. Is that Pussy Talk brand and that business, is that's really what's bringing you out of the service, or was it just time to go, or what's driving that transition?
All right. First and foremost, I am a musician by heart. I was going to join in 2005 when I graduated high school, but the universe sort of, like, was giving me all kinds of signs, like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Like, I found music, and I started playing music at 17, right? And that was right before I graduated. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to give this music thing a try. And then I said, forget the military. But then, like, at some point, I had an epiphany at 29, and I said, you know what? I have to do this. Or otherwise, I'm going to lay awake at night when I'm 60, 70 years old, regretting it for the rest of my life. And I don't care what anybody says. You're the one that's going to have to sit there in bed at night, staring at the ceiling with those thoughts. So I got in, and I, checked this box, if you will. And, I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot, and I made a lot of friends, and I grew in so many ways. But honestly, another reason why I joined is because I wanted to deploy, as an 11 Bravo. And if there's no deployments right now.
I don't know how familiar my listeners are. What is an 11 Bravo?
I'm sorry. 11 Bravo is an infantryman.
Okay.
Yeah. So I joined the infantry. It's the, for those who don't know what, it's just the guy that literally engages in the combat. It's the one fighting and doing all that, the door busting, the ambushes, the raids, all that stuff. So I'm a crazy ass person. I'm wild. I mean, like, you know, and that's just, and I like it, and you know, and I'm good at it. I'm an NCO, you know, I'm an E5. You know, I got guys under me, you know, and they trust me and my judgment. But without going off on a tangent, to answer your question, like there's no deployments, and so it's time for me to move on. And I have to follow my dream and my passion, because like I can't truly be and do what I want to do like in the service.
Sure, that makes sense. Do you feel like your experience? You talked about learning a lot. Do you feel like things that you learned in the service? How has that impacted your music, if at all?
Oh my goodness. So many ways. One, you know, when you get put in a position of leadership, you know, you learn about people management, right? You learn how to deal with all kinds of different personalities and all kinds of situations at the lowest level possible, right? So I feel like on that those skills that I've sharpened have definitely helped me out as a businessman, you know, as a networker, you know, and how to communicate with people. And also like furthermore, you know, whenever I go to the field as an infantryman, for those who don't know, infantrymen go to the field a lot. What is going to the field? You go to basically to the woods, and you're sleeping and training outside for anywhere for days to weeks on end. No shower, you know, no access to basic amenities, and you're training. And it's almost like a prison-like environment where, you know, all my best, like I came up with so much amazing content, a lot, you know, in various different stages in my career, my Army tenure. But like when I'm in the field, you know, just joking with the boys, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, you know, then you're getting ideas, and then they grow, and then I come back and I write it all down, or I get it, you know. So I've gotten a lot of inspiration, a lot of content has come because of you know, just stuff like that.
Do you find it's your inspiration is hitting because you're talking with other people, or is it because you're just kind of isolated and you don't have anything else to do, like during periods of boredom, or what's triggering that inspiration, that creativity?
I would say it's both, really. You know what I'm saying? It's both. You know, when you're in your gears, when you're like regular day at work, um, you know, you get distracted by mundane things, you know, drinking with your buddies or going here or whatever. But you know, you have time to reflect on things. But also, right, like a lot of characters for my show, my cartoon show, for example, a lot of characters and a lot of situations were real life things. So I'm gonna like put into a cartoon, into all that, like things that are based off like real people and real situations that I either saw or happened to me, or that like I know somebody like went through, and I'm putting it, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm wondering, when you're out in the field, do you have, because I'm picturing like teenagers today, and anytime there is a downtime, you know, first thing they do, they pull out their phone and they've got entertainment, but they're not thinking about stuff. They're not being creative. They're scrolling through their TikTok feed or whatever. Did you have phones out in the field?
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Depending on like the field training exercise. Sometimes guys are not supposed to, but they bring them anyways. And so we'll have them, but like we can't have them out or be on them. But you know, sometimes when you're going to bed, you get in your sleep system. You know, you get in your sleep system, and then you just see little like lights. You know, it's like a glow, like a cocoon. So there's guys in there like on their phones at night. You know, but it's funny you say that with the young guys too, because you know, as I meant, like I'm the grandpa, right? Hey, old man. Hey, grandpa. You know, but you know, it's all love. I love them. They love me. But one thing I really do love about that is that these young guys, they give me access. Like I got my finger on the pulse because of these guys. You know, I know what's hip. I know what's going on. I know what these young people are thinking to an extent. I know what they want, what they don't want. And I'm grateful that a lot of these young guys that I now like call my brothers, if you will, and you know, they've given me a lot of like really good insight that have helped steer me in the right direction on like how to approach not just the band Pussy Talk, but also the DJing, you know, that kind of thing. You know, a lot of my practice, and I know you know what I'm talking when I say this, a lot of my practice of DJing was when I was a specialist, when I was at one rank below, and I had to share a room, and I was with the privates on a Friday, Saturday night, I called it Club 315. My room number was 315. So I put my stereo, I'd have my deck set up, my computer, and I have these speakers, and man, and they hear the music, they come through, hey man, and they bring a bottle, what's going on, and we just party with the boys. And I got a lot of practice doing that, and seeing what these young guys like, what they don't like, etc.
Okay, very cool. Now, how did you teach yourself? You mentioned you play drums, guitar, you sing. Was that just all self-taught time in the barracks during downtime, or how did you do that?
So here's what happened. I first got a guitar, and then I got a set of drums, and not too long thereafter, when I was 17. So somebody that I was ended up being in a band with, actually two bands with down the line, is a friend of mine. He taught me how to read tabs. So once I learned how to read tabs, I was like, oh, I want to know this song. Oh, how do I play this song? And I just started I'm like, oh, these patterns happen a lot. This is obviously a note. And then I just started I was just trying to teach myself how to play this AC/DC song, this Guns N' Roses song, this, that, what Kiss, all that, And then same thing with drums. I was looking at the tabs, playing it. And then I did get, at some point when I was 21, 22, I did serendipitously run into a drum instructor at a guitar center, and he became my drum instructor for probably a good 6 to 8 months, gave me the best tips and pointers. And then that helped me out a lot. And then pretty much after that, I was in a band called Earth Alien Hybrid, where it was live improv electronic music. It was an electronic drum kit, and he did synths and sounds and stuff. And and this is actually the real secret right here. I don't mind sharing this because most people won't do it anyways. But I had a metronome to my ears all the time. And I practiced with this guy about 2 days a week for 2 hours for about 2 years straight, all the time, right? That was our band, just me and him. And I had a metronome, and I was playing to the metronome, and then he was playing stuff around me. And that was how I've morphed and got to be a really good drummer, honestly. And then I was in a band called Red Sword, where it was prog, hard prog music, like King Crimson meets kind of Rage Against the Machine style. And I was the bass player, and then there was 2 guitar players and a drummer. And then when we started out, the microphone was there and no one did anything. So I just sort of went up and I just started yelling stuff. And they're like, yeah, this is really good. And so, that's just how I started singing. I mean, I'm a terrible singer, quite frankly. I don't think I'm any good, but people love it. So I just go with it.
Yeah. Enthusiasm goes a long way. So do you have you thought about incorporating any of that drumming or those instruments into your DJ sets with a MIDI drum kit or something? I feel like the bongos and stuff like that might fit really well with the Troglodyte brand,
Yeah. So, well, all right. 2 things. One, yes, I do want to, and I am incorporating percussion instruments live. Actually, it's another thing. The guy who gave me one of my first drum lessons, him and I were in a band. No, I'm sorry. He had a band and a business called the Handsmiths. And basically he would DJ and do hand percussion stuff at bar mitzvahs and corporate events. And that's what and I was one of his guys, right? I was one of his, I filled in. We reconnected years later, and I helped him out and did stuff with him. But I was like, this is not a bad idea. So I started to adding the percussion instruments, live aspect of it. See, when it comes to DJing, I want to be more than just a DJ. I want to be performing artist. I want to get from behind the decks. I want to interact with the crowd. I want to play. I want to have. At some point, I want to have a full ass drum kit and all sorts of stuff. And I want to have my cousin, which is the other project I'm getting to, the Chabukas. But I want to just have all of it out there and get from behind the decks and start playing. But as far as the MIDI and stuff goes, I mentioned, I'm not very tech savvy. So the producing aspect of it, it's just reading Chinese to me. I'm just sort of
Yeah, no. Yeah, I was more talking about Ableton Live is used by producers, but it's also used for live performances like that. So you can feed in, like if you have drum kits, you can feed that into Ableton and keep it in time with other instruments and mix the sounds and everything else. You can use it for live performances like that. But yeah, I mean, I've seen DJ acts where it's more than just a performance on turntables, and I've always really respected that for DJs that can also sort of take it to the next level and incorporate live instruments. I've mentioned Timmy Trumpet a couple times on this show. I've seen him perform a few times, and he'll improvise over the top of a popular EDM track with his trumpet on stage, and it's awesome. He's
That's
good.
badass.
Yeah. So
it's like that guy Rez. You know Rez? I think that's his name. He does the saxophone.
Oh, Grizz?
Grizz,
No.
yeah, that's right. Grizz. Yeah, that guy's killer.
Yeah,
I mean, anything brass on top of whatever done right is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, brass makes a great replacement for like that saw sound that's so popular in a lot of EDM. So, all right, very cool. So, tell me a little bit about your. I know you've been performing a lot more in the last several months since you've been down there in Columbus. Tell me just briefly about how you've sort of expanded out into the Atlanta market and how that's going for you in terms of live performances.
Yeah, so you're right. I have been. It's been an interesting road. So check it out. It was like, I want to say January 2021. So there was a guy in my platoon, or for those who don't know, it's just basically like the bunch of guys that I work with on a day-to-day basis, right? We all like live here, but one guy in particular, he lives in Riverdale, like just outside of Atlanta. So he made that, like, he's out now. But he made that like hour and a half drive to and from work every day because when he got out, he wanted to be in Atlanta. And we started like hanging out and being like really good friends. And we started going out to Iris a lot. And I would crash at his house. He let me sleep on his couch and stuff. And, Atlanta, what I love about Atlanta is very network, heavy on networking, right? You meet this one person, then you meet another person, and then all of a sudden, your web and people that expands. Like you're gonna find your vibe and your tribe, if you will. So that was how I started, getting plugged in, and then eventually I met other guys who let me crash on their couch, I that's, like I said, one thing led me to Syndicate, which is where I met Rose, and then Rose and I started talking, and I started going to see her, and then now here we are, So I love Atlanta for that. I mean, it's incredible. Like, if you're a good dude or just a good person in general, people will know, and you're gonna find people that are gonna be down, and everybody's hustling, everybody's doing something. Like, I love that. Everybody is like trying to make things happen, and like me, like I do. I love Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a fun city. So talking about Emerald Summers Presents, tell me a little bit about how you heard about Bass Battleground and a little bit about your plans for this Sunday.
Oh yeah, so Rose and I, we met, I want to say, in December, and then we've been talking and seeing each other back and forth whenever I like, she'd have an event or something, and I go to it when I could. And then we reconnected a few months ago, and like and then she was like, "Look," she was like, "I believe in you. I'm down with this." Like, she's ironically, one of the, up until recently, one of the few people that actually like believed in what I'm saying, like what I want to do. So she's like, "I want to get you in. I'm plugged in. Like, I'm down with all this." And so she told me about this Bass Battleground, and I was like, "Yeah, sure. Count me in. Like, let's do it." And how am I getting prepared for it? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to make it up as I go along. Like, if there's one thing I'm really good at, it's just making it up as I go along, and I'm going to go with the vibe and in the moment. I don't have a plan. I'm just going to make it up.
Well, it sounds like you're going to have a lot of practice because you have 2 gigs the night before. You're going from a syndicate events gig. Where is that on Saturday night?
So I'm supposed to, and I do need still trying to. Basically, I got this. It's rave tours. So a guy that does like the silent disco headphone stuff, but he's got this other event that's supposed to go on, and then I'm immediately going to go over to
Roguewoods.
Roguewood on Saturday.
Yep. So 2 on Saturday.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So 2 on Saturday, and then we got the one on Sunday. You know,
a few hours of sleep, and then 11 o'clock, I think we're filming, and then the Bass Battleground will go live on the Twitch channel at 4 p.m. So it's going to be a busy, what is that, about 16 hours?
Oh yeah, I love it. If there's that, I mean, if anybody, I love it, man. I live, eat, breathe this. This
All right,
is
awesome.
what I want to be my life. I want to be. Have you know what? I have a question. Have you seen? There's a documentary on Netflix called "I'll Sleep When I'm Dead," but and it's about Steve Aoki.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I watched that years ago and loved it. I was fascinated at his brand, and his label, and all the different things he does. It strikes me a lot like your aspirations with Pussy Talk.
Yes, and 100%. Like I was, like it was like I didn't really know or listen to Steve Aoki that much up until recently, But after I saw that documentary, I was like, yo, like this is what I'm trying to do. And, I felt a connection with him because it was like he started out with the whole punk rock, like DIY aspect, like me, when I was 19, 20, that like he was, I was doing all that already. And I didn't even know who Steve Aoki was, and, but like I was going down that route, and, I was like, this is like, it was very inspirational is what I'm trying to say. And I felt like a connection, and it also felt good. Like, you know what? Like, I'm not the only guy trying to do this, like if he can do it, I can do it,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll make sure to include a link to that in the show notes page for the podcast. And, can't wait to meet you in person at, Roguewoods this weekend. And then, we'll be going back to back, at the, Bass Battleground Saturday. I think we're doing something a little bit different for those of you out there that are going to be watching. We are going to be either recording or, yes, it's going to be a recorded set. We'll be there in the chat, but we're doing it at a lake. So it's going to be a totally different venue. Should be really cool. So not your usual green screen set that you guys are used to seeing. Should be really awesome. So hope to see everybody there. Emerald Summers Presents Twitch channel, Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Troglodyte, tell everybody where they can find you online.
Yes, you can find me at DJ Troglodyte on Instagram. You can find me same twitch.com/DJ Troglodyte, facebook.com/DJ Troglodyte, and as well DJ Troglodyte on YouTube. And then my personal Instagram is at Jokey McJokester.
Jokey McJokester. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it, and can't wait to meet you this weekend.
Yes, brother. Same to you. Can't wait.